Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into AMD's Q2 2025 earnings, what was actually reported, why the stock dropped 7 to 8% despite the strong numbers, and why I believe this sell-off is not just an overreaction, but possibly a buying opportunity. And yeah, let's get into it. So let's start with the basics. AMD just reported their Q2 2025 earnings. So those earnings are for data center, client and gaming and embedded. That is what AMD is doing. So yeah, the results were very solid. They came just short of their EPS target. We're talking about a 0.5% miss, nothing fundamental, and revenue landed well within expectations. The real eye catcher, their Q3 guidance, AMD is already forecasting 8.7 billion in total revenue for next quarter. That's a beat on consensus estimate by about 300 to 400 million dollars. So now here's the confusing part. After earnings, the stock dropped between 7 to 8%. That's pretty steep sell-off for what are honestly strong numbers, because if we go further into it, we have here a decrease in the GAAP and non-GAAP, purely because decrease due to the $800 million inventory and related charges associated with US export control restrictions on Instinct for the MI308 products, and excluding this charge, non-GAAP gross margin would have been 54%, which is an upside with the non-GAAP for 1%. So it would be in line with a slight beat of 1%. So yeah, that's that. So if this is, well, to be clear, it's all having to do with tariffs. So if tariffs come down, or there's more or better new news about tariffs, then this would normally be better. So that's actually what they're saying. So yeah, it's all to do with the restrictions and export control. But here's the thing: the EPS miss was clearly explained. So that's also a thing. They really went into it and why the EPS went down. Where is the EPS? Let's get to the EPS like this. So again, the 800 million inventory and related charges reduced earnings per share by 43%, 43 cents. So the thing is, the EPS was clearly explained by AMD. They went into detail about why they came up slightly short. Temporary factors, some delayed orders, timing of revenue recognition, nothing alarming, no weakness in demand, no slowdown in execution. They actually went up with their guidance. So yeah, in my view, this was not a bad quarter at all. It was actually a great quarter, and the market is simply overreacted. And in my terms, it is just another saying for buy the dip. And again, their guidance was just phenomenal, and I wouldn't be surprised if they beat with around 6 to 700 million, that they went into the 9 billion of revenue. So yeah, they now said that they will report 8.7 billion, but I do think that is just lower than they will do. It's already a beat on guidance for 3 to 400 million, but I do think that they will go into the 9 billion maybe. It's possible, but who knows, maybe 10 billion, you never know. But I do believe that it will be higher than 8.7, especially because the MI300 and MI325, all of those chips are actually for the future. So we are still waiting for that to come into the numbers, but it will take a couple of quarters. But in the meantime, they're already growing a lot. Also, Lisa Su, she just explained it perfectly. So yeah, let's talk about what really matters: AMD's AI and data center momentum, especially with the MI300 and MI325 accelerators. These products are key to AMD's future, and they're finally starting to show up meaningfully in revenue, but especially in coming quarters. So demand is strong, supply chains are under control, and margins very healthy. AMD made it clear that the MI300 line is becoming a multi-billion-dollar business. She literally said tens of billions of dollars. So yeah, This is where AMD starts becoming a real competitor to Nvidia, not a clone, but an alternative. One that offers strong performance, better efficiency in some cases, and most importantly, price flexibility. Now let's circle back to the Q3 guidance. So the 8.7 billion revenue. On paper, that's already ahead of expectations, but don't be as surprised if that number turns out to be lowballed or sandbagged, as they say. So there's a good chance AMD is being cautious, leaving room to surprise. I wouldn't be shocked if Q3 actually comes in closer to 9 billion or more. And if macro conditions improve, think tariffs, global demand, government contracts, we would be looking at a phenomenal quarter that really sets the tone for the next 2 years. I believe 2 to 3, 4 years. But still, we have to look at the macro data because I do believe that there will be a meaningful drop, that things will get heated up with the inflation, and inflation is pretty much under control, but the uncertainty or if is it really under control, and then all the things around job data, and then Trump with Powell and what they will do, maybe those, and then of course the tariffs and the tariff talks, maybe those things will put a little bit too much pressure onto the market, and the market will take it as a big chance to give the market a reason to go down. So I pretty much think that will happen. A recession is something else, but I do think that the market will look into something like that to have a reason to put it down. So yeah, I do think that is nice. I'd rather have only 10% engaged and I can buy as much as I want, then we're just going up and up, because I do want to buy more, and buying is more easy and fun when the prices are down. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for, and I do believe that is a strong argument to be made that the market will go down in a way like that. I'm not saying they will go down 20% like in April, because that was already a big down, but since April we are now at new highs since ever, so we have to cool down from that a little bit at least, and I do believe that will be around September. But of course, again, in September we probably will have a rate cut or not. Only a rate cut if the macro data stays strong. So yeah, to go further into client and gaming, it's really a comeback. Another highlight that flew under the radar is the client and gaming segments. Both doubled year over year. That is huge. It shows that AMD's growth isn't just tied to AI or data centers. They're executing well in PC and gaming too. And I believe that AMD is an overall better concept than most of their competitors. So yeah. With their latest Ryzen chips and Radeon GPUs, AMD is quietly gaining ground on Intel and Nvidia across the board. Intel in this talk is actually not really something to talk about anymore for now. So it's really about the news between Nvidia and AMD, but still AMD is not Nvidia, and Nvidia, there will never be another Nvidia. Nvidia will always be Nvidia. But AMD, you have to look at it on its own and what it is doing, and it has just so much growth potential as a company and stock performance in the coming years. So yeah, having said that, we can go further into that with, let's be real, AMD doesn't need to become Nvidia to be a huge winner, but if they continue to close the gap in performance, then AMD becomes a serious threat, especially for customers that care about performance per dollar, and that is a very important one. And that's where things get interesting, because if AMD offers comparable or even better products in some use cases at a more attractive price, then competitors will have no choice but to react. That means pricing pressure, innovation, and potentially a more level playing field in AI hardware. Bottom line, AMD Q2 earnings were a lot better than the market reaction suggests. I think the sell-off was too fast. I think that at this point, yeah, they are just buying more shares again, so AMD is going back up. I did see that there are some things that will bring the market down maybe today, but overall it seems like it will be, yeah, we have to see what comes out of news, but for now AMD is going up. That's what I wanted to say. So yeah, I think the sell-off was too fast, too emotional, but again, let them coming because I just buy everything. And not based on fundamentals. If anything, this was a very positive quarter. Of course, there was some downtrends, but that was purely because of what I said. And I can really get into that in what I said. So yeah, with even more upside coming. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next one. And don't forget, AMD's growth still has to come. So thanks for watching.